Hello, guys, and welcome to another video from Between the Ropes TV. Tonight, we're just going to discuss about Anthony Joshua. Does he get enough respect? Two-time heavyweight world champion. Josh, I'm going to come to you, mate. What do you think? He seems to be getting a lot of criticism lately. What are your thoughts?
Well, exactly. He gets a lot of criticism, and I don't really see why, because he's a two-time heavyweight champion, 32 years old, so he's still, for a heavyweight, he's got years ahead of him, should he want them, to be fair. And it's almost become like the cool kids thing to do, hasn't it? Like, everyone was an AJ fan when he was on the rise, and even when he when he beat Charles Martin, the Brazil fight, Molina, Klitschko, he was on Bear Grylls, he was on every TV show, every
Bandwagon stuff, Josh.
Exactly, he transcended boxing, and for me, at that point, then it became like, after the Takam fight, which wasn't his best performance, but in his defence, that was what his 20th pro fight or something. So he was probably due an off night. In all fairness, you look at any great, they've had off nights. The difference is Carlos Takam, genuine heavyweight. Tyson Fury, who I'm a fan of, his off night was against a blown up cruiserweight in Steve Cunningham,
and he got dropped.
And that gets talked about in a positive respect for Fury, whereas Joshua gets slagged off for that performance, even though he got his nose broken by an accidental clash of heads early on, and he had to overcome an injury effectively. But from then, for me, it became the cool thing to do. Let's slag Anthony Joshua off. Let's willing to lose. And I've got a little T-shirt for you this week.
Yes.
Versus the world.
See, put it up again for those in the back. Put it up again.
Oh, we can keep it on, mate. And it's become that. It is Anthony Joshua versus the world. Now, I'm a massive fan of his. And, to quote you, mate, I'm going to keep that same energy. Win, lose or draw, what he's done for boxing and worldwide boxing. Tony Bellew did a lovely Instagram post saying about how he brought big-time boxing back, stadium fights, pay-per-view cards, and it made boxing just bigger, whether he was fighting or not, because it brought eyes to the sport, and it enabled him to have the hay fights, the financial stability that his kids won't have to worry about money. A lot of fighters have benefited from Anthony Joshua. Promoters, again, we'll get onto it in a separate video, but Sky Sports, now DAZN. Fans have had, we've had great memories. I mean, when he beat Klitschko, that was one of the best nights out I've ever had. Like, it was a great night. He's created history for Britain. And let's just, cold hard facts. Won a world title in his 16th pro fight. Since then, it's been world title fights in either mandatories or unifications. So you can slag off, he fights old men. Povetkin and Pulev, who were mandatories, so he had no choice. And, let's keep some good energy. Povetkin was considered the third best heavyweight at the time they fought between Joshua and Wilder, because obviously Fury was on the comeback. Yeah. So he's got to be respected. And it's almost like now he'll get criticised for how he is in interviews because he's a bit standoffish. But I don't blame him, because if I was him, I'd think, well, hang on a minute. The amount I've done for British boxing, for British fight fans, he kept stadium shows in the UK when there would have been more money to go to America. And I know he went eventually, but he stayed in the UK. They tried to get Wilder over here for the undisputed fight to have it in the UK, and it didn't happen. I just don't see what the hate campaign is against him. I'll give it you back to see what you think, but it really winds me up.
It's so emotional. That's honestly, it got us. But after there it is. After saying, mate, it's, for me, it goes back to his amateur achievements. I mean, the guy, when he won gold at the Olympics, he was still a relative baby in amateur terms compared to the amount of amateur fights that he had in comparison to the Eastern Europeans. We're talking about somebody who won the ABAs twice. He got silver at the Baku World Amateur Championships, which is notoriously hard to medal at. Yeah, following year he gets gold at the Olympics, turns pro, and he has all of. It's a bit like Amir Khan. He became a media star straight away. He really captivated the casual fan. But yeah, you're right. He brought the big time back, and I think you could argue, although Ollie Harrison, for me, he brought British amateur boxing to the pedigree that it is now because of his gold medal and the funding he brought for what we now know as Team GB and the Institute of Sport and Excellence in Sheffield. Joshua's then picked that up from the professional ranks and then brought it through another 10 paces. And if you look at his resume, that just explains why. Really, he's fought everyone in the heavyweight division. Phenomenal resume, you could argue, in comparison to who else is in the heavyweight division. They just don't have that resume. They don't have that resume at the heavyweight. We're not talking about people that are being at cruiserweight for everyone and stepped up. I'm on about people that are being career heavyweights. No one else's resume compares. The other thing I want to say is, should he beat Usyk on Saturday, you've got to start putting him in there and talking about him in the same breath. I would argue, and it's controversial, so I'm going to say it slowly, I would put him in that bracket, same as Lennox Lewis. Why? I'll tell you why. Because look at how Lennox avenged his defeats and how he responded back with. We're talking about somebody who should he beat Usyk, would have taken rematches, immediate rematches, and reversed them. That's rarely seen. Not just in the heavyweight division, in boxing as well. You usually talk about, maybe someone might have an immediate rematch, but not twice after defeats. I know Tony Bellew had a lot of rematches, but sometimes he had other fighters. He had other fights in between. Tyson Fury, he had that rematch with McDermott. I thought he even lost that fight against John McDermott. He put it right in the rematch. He had his rematches against Wilder. He's had his rematches against Chisora. But for me, it was only the Wilder fight where there was something serious at stake. John McDermott, it was pride, really. Joshua, with all that pressure and how he's coped with it, it's been absolutely tremendous. The only other thing is, and we don't come across it on this channel, we stay clear of it on this channel, but I think for me, the upsetting thing that I see getting linked with Anthony Joshua probably isn't to do with boxing, Josh. I'll probably have to say it was to do with a little bit of that speech that he gave when the Black Lives Matter movement was going on a couple of years ago. And I think that was misinterpreted and manipulated by a small minority. And I think that movement kind of grew against him because of all the controversy that caused from the Black Lives Matter movement. And I'm seeing a lot of that against them by some comments that I'm seeing online. But even that in the boxing, I think it's unjust, Joshua, if I'm going to be honest with you. And I think, this country likes to build people up and then knock them down in the first instance. And the media do it a lot. And I just think that with Anthony Joshua, he's going to be one of those fighters, Josh, that we're looking back 10, 15 years' time and thinking, wow, you know what it is? In his era, he was a star.
No, I agree. And, just on that, again, we try and steer clear of politics because we're boxing fans at the end of the day.
Yeah, we're boxing fans.
All he's guilty of there was, from what he said himself, he's got no reason to lie. He's dangerously honest with most other things, was naivety. Someone passed him a bit of paper and he's a big public figure. He read it, probably shouldn't have. Yeah. However, at the end of the day, it was a hot topic. And I think a lot of people that make comments on these things aren't qualified to really answer. I certainly, you can't start talking about an ethnic minority struggle if you can't relate. So wind your neck in. Let's judge him on what he does in the ring. Exactly. And in the ring, the man's a superstar. And I think it has to be, it just has to be left as that. And I agree with you, in 10 to 15 years, and I hope it doesn't happen, but if boxing, goes backwards and ends up back in just leisure centres, not even arena fights, we'll all be looking back at Anthony Joshua as all the glory days. When we will, won't we? So
yeah, we will. Yeah.
That's it, guys. Put some respect on Anthony Joshua's name. Me and Ray have agreed. So we'll have to mark this one with a little star next to it. History making. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and join us on the next one.